Hey, buddy.
What's up?
What's going on?
How are you?
Good.
What's up, everybody? It's Germain Lussier of Slashfilm.com. I'm here with
Jeremy Kirk at firstshowing.net.
And today is May 17th, 2012. I say that because I don't know when you're going to be watching this, but we are in New Orleans in Swank Hotel. Just visited the set of Ender's Game, written and directed by Gavin Hood, starring Asa Butterfield, Ben Kingsley, Harrison Ford, Hailee Steinfeld. And the scheduled release date at this time is November 1st, 2013. So we're probably closer to that if you're watching this.
Yeah.
But, Ender's Game is written by Orson Scott Card. It's a sci-fi novel from the 80s. And it's my favorite book of all time. It's such a great story of a young kid who's forced into service to save the world from this race of like ants.
It's almost like Starship Troopers a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit, but
basic idea.
Yeah, and how they look.
Yeah.
And it's just it's a great story. It's a great morality tale, but there's insane action and beautiful like video game stuff, and it just has so much stuff that was so ahead of its time. And so this set visit for me was like the holy grail of set visits. You know, I was so excited, and it pretty much lived up to billing. So we'll talk about a couple quick points here, but you'll probably read about everything in a lot more detail in our write-ups. But Jeremy, you had read the book before.
I'd read the first book.
Yes.
A long time ago.
The one that this is based on.
Yeah. And there are 11 total books. I haven't read any of the others. I've only read the first one. And I wasn't a huge fan. I liked it, but I wasn't just ecstatic that, oh my god, they're making an Ender's Game movie. Nothing like you.
Yeah.
But, God, after seeing what they're doing with this movie and just seeing every aspect about it with the, all the actors and the sets and the designs and everything and what the movie has to say, about violence and about violent cultures and about future generations, it blew me away. Actually, the set visit really made me excited.
Awesome. So, I know my answer to this question, but what were you most excited to see today, and what really, stood out for you?
What really stood out for me was they showed one of the first things we did. They took us to this boardroom where they had basically the storyboards for the whole movie.
Yeah, it's basically the whole movie. Yeah, and
they showed us the little reel that they put together to show at Cannes 2011.
Yeah,
that basically got them the funding to make it. And just that little, 15, 20 seconds?
They said it was 45 seconds.
Was it 45? Okay.
It was like a CG teaser trailer.
Yeah, it was basically a teaser trailer, but it was, just the look of it and the music and the scope, it blew me away. That footage.
Yeah, I guess, and that, apparently, they put together this thing with Digital Domain, like this 45-second trailer, which might be online by now, who knows. But basically, that got them the ability to get some foreign sales, and we were told this is one of, if not the biggest independent production of all time.
Right.
Summit is releasing it, but they didn't finance it. So, so that sort of influenced everything that came after with this movie. For example, they shot in this place called Big Easy Studios, this huge warehouse down in New Orleans, and they did 3 big rooms, and what they did was they sort of set up the sets, knock them down, and put other sets, and sort of double them up, and they really... And it sounds like they cut corners, but they didn't. These sets were insanely immersive.
It was so much like Ridley Scott and Alien. Like, the sets were 360 degrees.
Yeah.
If you were on set, if you looked around, it was all that set. And it was all just beautifully done.
Yeah, really cool. So we walked through sort of their barracks. We walked through an infirmary. They had already done a lot of... They had already broken down a lot of things. But,
the battle room had already been torn down, but we kind of saw the remnants of where it was, and it was huge. Yeah, that set, my god.
And if you're familiar with Ender's Game or not, what makes Ender's Game stand out, and what has made it so hard to make in the past, is that the centerpiece of this movie is Ender goes to this place called Battle School, and in Battle School they fight. These teams of kids fight in this huge thing called a battle room, which is completely zero G, and they basically float around and shoot each other. And it's something that, you couldn't imagine how they could possibly do it. You're like, well, I guess digital effects could probably do it, or this and that. And me, as a fan, when I walked into the set visit, I was excited to see all this stuff. I knew the cast was good, but I wanted to know how they did that. And
and also just kind of how seriously they took the tone of the book and the subtext to it all. And it looks like, I mean, Gavin Hood is taking this completely seriously. He knows what he's doing. He knows the story he wants to tell. He knows the perfect story that he can tell with Ender's Game, and it looks like he's pulling it off.
Yeah, I mean, and I want to get back to the battle room, but also to your point right there is this is Ender's Game, but it's streamlined Ender's Game. Ender's Game, the book, I mean, obviously has Ender's Shadow, which is sort of happens at the same time. It has a huge backstory, and there's a huge thing with like Ender and his the brother and sister, and most of that has been cut out of this from what we understood, and it's very much Ender's story. Like Asa Butterfield is basically in, like he said, 90% of the movie, but like I said, the battle room stuff. It was like, how are they going to have kids fly around like 13, 15 kids in like formation in zero gravity, and so they ended up doing it without digital effects. Not it's going to be filled in. It's all in green screen because they're in space and like all this stuff. But they had the stunt coordinator, the guy who stunt coordinated Avatar, and I should have written down his name, but I haven't.
Garrett.
Yeah, he's a really, really cool dude. He reminds me like an MMA fighter, and he
really,
basically
really cool
he basically invented this new sort of thing called like a lollipop grid that allows anybody to sort of float around and balance and look like they're in zero G. Combine that with a whole different sort of like crane that floats on, he said, air pucks.
Yeah, like it's like air hockey technology.
Yeah, but with a whole unit crane, and then they also had this sort of wire harness that sort of is it looks like an H, I guess, on the ceiling, and it can move anywhere. It reminded me of the cameras that they have over sporting events now, especially during the NFL. So they were able to practically make people look like they were in zero G, and all of it. It's like 13 kids, all rigged up, all in green screen in these awesome costumes, fighting in this like massive thing.
And not only that, but he brought Cirque du Soleil performers on set to like show everybody how you should act when you're in zero G.
Yeah.
Not like you're in a swimming pool, not like you're flailing about, just perfectly calm, moving smoothly.
And we didn't see any of that like actual footage, but we saw a lot of the test footage, and it looked, great. Yeah. Like Ender jumps out of the staging area and he's just flying. It looks so cool. Yeah, and the shot that's sort of what that teaser was that Jeremy was talking about, and it looks so awesome.
I would assume, and I'm sure by now we've seen the trailer or the teaser for the actual movie. I would assume that every shot that they had in that reel, they're going to try to duplicate in the actual movie.
Yeah, I think so.
I would hope so, because there were some amazing shots.
It's a cool little moment. Yeah, they made that before they had anybody cast.
Mm-hmm. It was all CG. Yeah.
I mean, there's like literally so much to say, but I know I can't watch these videos when they're too long. We'll talk a couple more minutes. But anything else stand out for you right now? Because I have a couple of things.
I was really impressed. I mean, I know they said that it was the largest independent movie ever, but I was just, for an independent movie, even the sets on this thing are massive. Yeah. There was one that we saw that it's kind of the final battle.
Oh yeah, we sat. Yeah. The final. I mean, we're not going to spoil too much.
Yeah.
The book's been out for like 30, 40 years, so it's like but the movie's going to come out, so we don't want to spoil it. But at the end, Ender is commanding an army against in this like video game scenario against the enemy, and so I always pictured it as they were all sitting in sort of like Rad Racer, and that's not what it's called, Outrun. In the arcade, that when I read it. But the way they have it staged in the movie, and again, you've probably seen shots of it in the trailer by now, is he's sort of on this platform, and everybody else is in these chairs around him, and they all have sort of, which will fill in later, like these Minority Report things. Yeah. The set and stuff, though, is like almost completely all there.
Oh yeah, I mean,
it's like all these chairs,
it's concrete. It's like a concrete platform. There's a giant concrete wall with the door where they come in.
Yeah,
I mean it's
and above it is like the staging area. It was not the staging area. It's like this like platform where Colonel Graff and
Mazurek.
Yeah, I know, but I don't want to spoil it. It's okay.
Well,
whatever.
Ben
Kingsley got cast.
Show him.
Yes, exactly.
He's in it.
And where they can look over Ender and everybody.
Yeah.
And apparently that's going to be like this huge ass video game, which you'd think would look great in 3D, but Gavin Hood said 3D, they thought about it, but they decided not to do it in 3D because it was too expensive.
Right.
And they spent a lot of their movie on these sets. also with that command room set, we walked in and got a quick glimpse. It actually continues beyond that. If you go through that thing, it opens, and then it goes to like a boardroom with another thing, and then you walk down into like Ender's room, and it's all one. It's like they built like
the alien world, the alien planet.
Yeah.
And
oh my god.
It's just my god, and that control room where the final battle is. All the walls are just green.
Yeah.
So it's all just going to be filled in CG. I'm sure it's going to look great.
It's going to look great. The concept art we saw of it looked really rad, and. Yeah, and the kids, like, really, the casting was really, really good, I think. They were all, we talked to all the kids, and they were all, like, really, really into it, and all really, really, like, understood that they had a lot to live up to with this. But they all, like, they're really enjoying themselves. It was almost like, it was paralleling what was happening in the movie, that they sort of all came together, which I thought was really cool. And one of the other things Gavin Hood's bringing to it that I don't know if we'll even see it in the trailer, because they said it was going to be subtextual, but you saw it, once they told us, you saw it everywhere, is that the whole thing is that Ender has to save Earth, right? So every time we see Earth or we talk about Earth, it's this like future that is possible now to post-oil world, and the whole world has been green. So it's a Earth worth saving, is what they kept saying. And so that's sort of the subtext to give this like positive message to the movie, because... like there are some really sort of tough themes and tough issues that this kid has to deal with when he's like fighting this.
And also, and I really don't think it's spoiling, but just the touching on the whole propaganda issue, I think that it's going to be very heavy with this movie.
Yeah, and I mean, if we talk about how awesome it was to meet Harrison Ford. Harrison Ford,
surprise, complete shock.
Yeah, they told us Harrison Ford was not going to do any interviews, and so we interviewed everybody. We're walking out, and in walks freaking Harrison Ford.
Yeah. We're on our way to walk out of the room, and they push us back in with Harrison Ford. We thought he was in there for something else.
Yeah, and so he just chatted with us. It was all off the record, but it wasn't like anything crazy.
It was just 10 minutes. It was great.
Yeah, it was just he's awesome, and he's got a big role in this. He actually has to be in the CG stuff too for a scene earlier in the movie. So Harrison Ford will be floating in zero gravity in this movie.
I mean, he brought his own harness.
They said he brought his own harness to do, but then I think he joked that they actually didn't end up using it, but they did bring it. Yeah. So, I mean, I could go on and on about the details. We saw everything. This was a great set visit, and hopefully you'll be able to read that in our write-ups, which are probably embedded in this post or in this coming post. We saw the costumes and the props are
They showed
awesome.
us every side of this movie. Anything you would want.
Yeah, we talked to production
designers.
Yeah, the costume designer, the prop guy.
The guy, we talked to the still photographer on set. I mean, he was doing 360 shots of all the sets. It was
it's awesome, and you can tell everybody who's involved in this movie really knows they have something special. The stunt guy literally, he's worked on Avatar, he worked on Alice in Wonderland, he's worked on all this stuff. He was like, this might be the thing I'm most proud of, just because he was able to pull off all these incredible things. Yeah. And I mean, I'm so excited to see this movie.
I mean, we'll know more when we actually see trailers and teasers for it. But I mean, just based on this, I'm sold.
I'm sold.
I can't wait to see it.
It's hard not to be sold on a set visit.
Yeah, especially, I mean, you were a huge fan of it.
I'm such a huge fan.
You were sold from the beginning.
What I am worried about is that when you focus on Ender, there's so much to do. It could end up moving very, very, very quickly. And especially, the book takes place over 6 years. Yeah. They said the movie takes place over like a year. This way they didn't have to age the characters and things like that. So that's a possible, we'll see. But, oh man, like this movie, like I said, is supposed to come out November 1st, 2013. If that has changed, you will see in this article someplace. But
and I'm sure we'll know by the time this comes out, but the person we were talking to said that the movie they were shooting for like 2 hours, 15 minutes, 2.5 hours. I think they're really taking their time with telling the story.
With it?
Right? Yeah,
I hope so. So it's like one of the granddaddies of video games, sci-fi, all that stuff. We'll say one last thing. It's just when John Carter came out, everybody was like, "Why is this movie ripping off all these other movies?" When actually John Carter just got made too late and was the movie that influenced all those things. Ender's Game is the same way. There's a scene in this that is literally the Independence Day ripped off. And they do it, and it looks just like it.
Yeah.
It's really cool.
The previs that they showed us of that scene, we were like, that
looks like Independence Day. But then you realize, this came out way before, and they totally ripped it off. So, I mean, this is a book and a property that carries a lot of weight. So pay attention and keep a lookout. Jeremy, as of May 2012 can we find more of your work?
Because you never know.
Yes.
Firstshowing.net and Film School Rejects, and every week on the Golden Briefcase, which we'll get you back on.
Yeah, I would love to.
Which I'm sure you will be.
I'll be on. Maybe we'll do the Ender's Game one.
Yeah, exactly.
And at Germain Lussier on Twitter and slashfilm.com. Thanks, guys.